This video shows strong evidence of U.S. Navy protection of the Philippines and using the same technology to attack China. So this is Typhoon Mitag on September 28th, and you can see on here it is 27th, 11 UTC, and this is 2 hours after dark. You can see these long lines that form, and now this is just like Tropical Depression Karen in my previous video, which had a deep straight line cut through it, and apparently to divide it in two, and we saw that it certainly broke it up. So the same thing is happening east of the Philippines, and again it went on all night long, and then right as day broke, it stopped. So this is 2 hours after sunset. Strong straight line. Still have a straight line, but it's trying to bubble over. And now this is the last one right before sunrise. And sunrise happens, now the sun's been up for 2 hours. And we step through, now the line is gone, but now the storm has weakened to the south and it's been pushed to the north. So that maneuver has effectively kept it off of the main part of the Philippines. In fact, it's just a really weak tropical depression here, not even really much of anything. So I'll let that play, and you can see it. Daytime, no line, and there's sunset, and 8 UTC. This is right before, this is right at sunset. We have a line here, and now 2 hours after sunset we see the line stays there all night, and now the eye it's really weakened and it's shifted to the north. So this is visible light. Let's see what it looks like in water vapor. In water vapor at the very same time, 2 hours before sunset, we have a really deep strange notch cut here. Let's see what the wind movements look like. Can this be explained by the wind at different levels? So at sea level, at the very same time, we can see these circulating winds at the surface and a strange zone here, linear zone, where there's no wind. So let's look at 15,000 feet. Well, this is 500 millibars, so it's 18,000 feet. But again, there's this strange disruption in the circular flow, very odd. What about the jet stream? So with 250 millibars, 34,000 feet, this is not showing the notch, but what it is showing is that there's a lot of upper level winds that should be pushing this tropical depression into the Philippines, and instead it's actually moving off to the north. So after this midnight microwave attack, it really it doesn't strengthen. It doesn't follow the jet stream. It continues northwest, where then it strengthens, and it's going to hit the coast of China. So you can see how this has been weaponized to protect our ally, the Philippines, and attack China. And if you look at the sea surface temperature, it's just grotesquely warm. So we're looking down here at this deep red here, and that looks like 87, 88 degrees. That is really terrifying. That's bathwater warm. So any low pressure should just organize and get really energetic, but we don't see that with that microwave furrow cut through the top in the middle of the night. After Mount Pinatubo erupted in 1991, Subic Bay was actually buried in ash, so the Americans left. So after the Americans left, the Chinese and Philippines tried to stay on good terms until in 1995 there was a coral reef incident where the Chinese were moving in and the Philippines didn't like it, and then after that they had Americans had a friendly agreement, but then in 2012 there was a unfriendly disagreement with the Chinese again, which was then taken to a UN court for settlement, for arbitration. But then guess what? In 2013, Hurricane Haiyan, I should say Typhoon Haiyan, hit the Philippines. It was the most powerful tropical cyclone ever recorded. It killed about 7,000 people and did about $3 billion of damage. So now the stage is set for the U.S.-Philippine Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement. So about a year later, this was signed by the representatives of the two governments, and strangely, the mega typhoons stopped hitting the Philippines after that, because we all know the SBX technology was developed in 2005 when they accidentally triggered Hurricane Katrina in the Gulf. And so now, after 2014, you have really no big hurricanes, typhoons hitting the Philippines. So the deadliest cyclones, again, was Haiyan in 2013, killed 6,300, plus 1,000 missing. The wettest were, here's one in 2015, Kapu, and the main thing is the costliest. There was one in 2015, Kopu. So, here, Manghut, 2018. So what did that look like as far as how it traveled? So this is Manghut in 2018, and it started way out east. And again, if you want to use a typhoon as a weapon, you need to control where it starts and exactly when it starts. And here it was way out, so they did not actually control it. But as it got close to the Philippines, they did manage to turn it north, but not quite far enough, so it actually hit this northern island here, and only killed 135 people though. So obviously it would have been worse. And then it goes into China. That's a weapon. But Haiyan was very similar. Again, started out real far east, maybe with U.S. help, and Cat 5, super devastating, and again it hits China, a weapon. And sure enough, the next day, Typhoon Mitag curves away from the Philippines going north, no damage. So how do we know it wasn't the Philippine Navy that was doing it? The Philippine Navy is really tiny, and most of their ships are, small, 150 feet, and all they have is machine guns. About the only ship that they have that even has a radar on it is this Coast Guard, U.S. Coast Guard ship was donated in 2011, and it has a very small search radar on the top, but most of their ships are just really small gunboats, patrol vessels. Here's one that's 220 feet, but all it has is 50 cal guns on it, and patrol vessel, 200 feet, machine guns, autocannon. It's good enough for keeping the Chinese off of their reefs, but you're not going to shoot a megawatt microwave beam with that. So to recap, what causes a notch like this in a developing dangerous typhoon? That's So there's the water vapor, and that's that's long wave infrared, because we can't see it. So I said earlier that was daytime. That's long wave infrared. Here, long wave infrared, yeah. So what causes this notch? And in water vapor, and again in the wind, at 15,000 feet, and not higher and not lower, the computer imagery detects this kind of flow pattern in the air. And normally in the Midwest this would be called a cold front, and what do you call it here? The jet stream doesn't have it, the surface winds don't have it. This is an artificial man-made event using this powerful microwave technology. And We need to realize that spending this kind of money that we don't even have only creates more enemies and more environmental destruction. And that every time these megawatt radar weapon systems are used, they burn a hole in the ozone layer, just speeding up the death of the oceans and the death of the entire planet. And while they sell these weapon systems on how effective and safe they make us, what they're really doing is guaranteeing our extinction, because a species that's going to survive on this planet does not behave in this way. So keep in mind, the ozone layer, which protects all life on Earth, peaks at about 25 kilometers in altitude. But when these military radars are heating the ionosphere to control the weather, they are heating this D layer that's about 50 kilometers or 30 miles up, and it only exists in the daytime. And that is why you don't see the microwave beam in the cloud tops in the daytime, but at nighttime there's no D layer, so they have nothing to heat that will interact with the atmosphere directly. So that's when they are actually heating the cloud tops at night. So this video is going to be a real problem for the U.S. military planners, because they're going to have to find some way to hide these long microwave furrows at night that then interact with the weather. So it is an absolute matter of life and death for the human species, for the future of all mankind, that these military megawatt radars are banned, that they no longer are used to heat the ionosphere. There needs to be an international treaty, and these things need to be mothballed. I hope that this message gets out there, and thank you very much for watching.